with COVID. Since I seen you last, my chief of staff's daughter got it.
Oh, no.
So my chief of staff, Tim, that you talked to, is at home. And then Dave, my director, got it confirmed yesterday. So
Oh,
he's
my.
home. So like today, we had our DCI annual meeting actually over virtual instead of bringing everybody in. So.
Yeah, we had to cancel ours too. It was kind of a crazy deal, but
Right.
not much you can do. I mean, it's just too sketchy there. Too risky, really.
Yeah. So how's Dave doing? Is he feeling the symptoms of it, or?
Yes. He said well, they tested him, and then he didn't. They had to cancel the test or something, and then they had to test him again, and then he said he had like every symptom that they could have, or 40 out of the 43 here.
Yuck. Because you're hearing about half the people don't have any symptoms.
Well, and then I don't know when you guys in relation to they closed the schools here.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So
okay.
The high school,
Mm-hmm.
Here and Fort Pierre both.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, we're still in like a hybrid system where like A through K go Monday and Wednesday and Friday, and then the next week go Tuesday, Thursday, and the other half go. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for it though, because our numbers in at least Burley and Morton are, I think today we had 85 in Burley and I think 45 in Morton, and Burley, Morton, got Mandan and Bismarck. It's kind of like Fort Pierre and Pierre.
Okay.
The river is the only thing that separates the two.
I guess I'm not as good with North Dakota geography. So where is Burley and Morton then?
Burley is Bismarck, so that's kind of central, and then you have the Missouri River that comes up.
Okay.
And so on the east side of the Missouri is Burley, on the west side is Morton.
Okay.
And so if you don't know the area, you wouldn't know if you're in Burley, Morton, Bismarck, or Mandan.
Right.
It all just is one.
Blends together.
It blends together.
I learned a little bit. I'm in the Army Reserves. I think I may have told you last time, but my mission is actually to build a unit at Air in Bismarck.
Okay.
And they got a reserve center right by the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I went up, did site visits, talked to people, and then COVID hit, and everything's been on hold.
Yeah.
We've been doing virtual since. Because my unit's out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I just don't want people crossing state lines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what we want to do is we want to go over everything again with you. As we've gathered more information.
Yep.
When we spoke with you, that was
early.
Yeah, you were really about the first person we spoke with. So we've just gathered some more information since then. So we want to kind of figure all that out. And again, no criminal charges have been filed against you. You're free to go at any time you want to. If you want to stop talking, you're free to leave. You can just get up and walk out. If you don't want to answer any of our questions, you just let us know that. This is a completely voluntary interview. So, all right.
You've been really cooperative.
I've tried to do everything and think of everything I can think of to, and I've thought of a couple things, I guess.
Okay.
So as we go through it.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we're just going to kind of recap some of what happened leading up to it.
Okay.
So on the 12th, you went to the Lincoln Day dinner, the Spink County Lincoln Day dinner in Redfield, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That day, or like on the 11th, leading up to the 12th, what kind of sleep did you get? Do you remember?
I actually got a lot of sleep.
Okay.
Because some media reports where I went from Pierre to Rapid, that actually was not my schedule. I was actually coming from Louisiana. We'd been down there for an event with the Attorney General of Louisiana, and I flew into Rapid City and went to an event there, a Lincoln Day dinner in Pennington County. That's the Rapid City's town, the county, to familiarize you.
And what day was that you flew into Rapid?
11th.
Okay.
So the night before Friday, and I went to the event, and I got home about 1:15 in the morning. But I slept in till 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. I had an event that I'd been invited to in Sisseton, South Dakota, and I just told them, I can't make it. It's too much to do that and go all the way to Sisseton, which is in our northeast corner. I'm familiar with South Dakota geography, so I'm oversimplifying maybe, but it's in the northeast corner. That would have taken 4 hours from Pierre at least. you know, and the event was at noon, so that means that I had to leave at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I just couldn't do that. So my day was 9:30, 10:30, I remember I got up, I slept in, and then I was around my office and the house until about 3 o'clock when I left to go to Redfield. So I think I had very adequate sleep. I didn't do anything vigorous, you know, I didn't bale hay as I used to do as a kid, you know, or something, or strenuous, so.
How much sleep do you normally get, on average, in a day?
On a normal day, you know, 7, 8 hours, I mean, 6, 7, 8 hours, you know, depending on the day, you know. But
what time do you normally get up in the morning, then?
7-ish, you know, I'm usually at the office by 8-ish, you know, depends on my day and schedule. Obviously, my schedule changes dramatically, you know, and the map's out and such, and depending on where you got to go. But I would say that is a normal day, and then I leave. You know, I try to stay till 5-ish, you know, at least, and then obviously depending on what work we've got and such, you know, and obviously things are a little different now with COVID. You know, we're not always in the office every day. A standard 8-hour day, because I don't want myself and my chief deputy and my chief of staff, as I mentioned, all to be down at the same time. You know, somebody's got to run the show, and so we've staggered. You know, we've got staggered schedules a little bit.
Because who's your chief deputy?
Chief deputy, his name is Charlie McGuigan, and I can spell all that if you need me to.
Yeah, you'll need.
Yep, Charlie is traditional, and then McGuigan, M-C, G-U-I-G-A-N. And Charlie has been the chief deputy for myself and Marty Jackley, my predecessor, and actually the end of Larry Long, his predecessor. So he's been chief deputy 10, 12 years, and he's been in the office about 25 years. So he knows how the office and state government works, I guess.
So then...
I can get you his contact if you ever want to talk to him or anything.
So then that day you went to the Lincoln Day dinner in Redfield. Again, you had said that you didn't have anything to drink that night.
I absolutely had zero alcohol to drink. I had a Coca-Cola. I had a steak. I don't know what kind of steak, but I had steak, and I had a baked potato. I remember that's the three things I remember eating, and that's why I tried to give you the waitress's name, and then I got the list of the people that were there and such, and try to verify that. But
and then what time did you leave the dinner?
9:15.
9:15
p.m. obviously.
And again, what roads did you take to come back?
I didn't look them up since you were here, but I can describe it yet. Again, I left out of Redfield going west until you get to what I call the Miller Corner. There's a T intersection that if you kept going straight, you'd go towards Faulkton is the town, and if you come to this corner and you go south, and you're going to go south to Miller, South Dakota, which is in Han County, and then from Miller, that's 14, which is all the way here to Pierre, and beyond. But for these purposes, it's from Miller to here. So I made an S basically, or a.
Once you left the event, did you stop anywhere else along the way?
No, I believe so. No. No.
Do you remember what you were were you listening to the radio, or what were you listening?
So when I left Redfield, you kind of had to snake through town because where this restaurant is. And then when I got out of town, I remember on that first leg, the Redfield to the corner, I'd called my father. So I did not have. I have Sirius radio. So I turned down the volume, but I still had it on because the Lakers were playing. I remember the Lakers were playing Houston, and you can watch the score when that happens, you know, when it's on. And I talked to my father, and I turned the corner, the Miller corner, I turned and talked to him, and then there's a dead zone there, and it dropped. And then when you got closer to Miller somewhere, I called him back, and all it was I didn't hang up on you call. You know, it dropped. And,
so you talked to him
twice
about the Miller corner? Is that about?
Well, I mean,
so you left
piece
red
of paper or something. I can just show you the thing. I went to the corner. I turned the corner, and it dropped somewhere there, dead spot. And then as I got close to Miller, I tried again, and that's when I got him back. And I said, you know, I didn't hang up on you, Dad. It dropped for some reason.
Right.
And like I said, that was not a long call. I mean, we kind of talked about what we were going to talk about, and then that was it.
Right. So that second call was just basically to end the
first call, really. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I just
gotcha.
Don't be rude to people. You just you know, call you back that I didn't hang up on you.
Right. Okay. All right. So then, after you got off the phone with your dad the second time,
I didn't call anybody.
Okay.
Until after the crash. Well, I mean, until the 911 call, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
so when you were driving, were you listening back to the game, or?
Nope, the game got over. I remember the game got over, and then, you know, the Twins also got over.
Okay.
You know, and I remember shutting off the radio at some point, but I think that's closer to Highmore.
Okay. Did you listen to the end of the games, or were they already done when you got?
Somewhere I don't know where, the Twins, the last out. I mean, I remember hearing the last out, but I don't know exactly where that was.
Okay.
And I think the Laker game was already over. The Twins was later than the basketball.
Okay. All right. So once the baseball game was over, what did you do with the radio?
I think it was still on.
Okay.
But not, you know, I think I shut it off when I got closer to.
Okay.
When I got, you know, around Highmore.
Okay. Why'd you shut it off?
Well, well, we have to fast forward then a little bit.
Okay. Oh, we can go back.
Yep. So
kind of walk me through it.
So again, I turned the Miller corner, the second Miller corner, I guess, the one going now to Highmore, and I'm driving along, and then I get to Highmore, and that's when I look to the right and I look to the left as I was going through town. I was thinking about getting gas. In the one station to the south or to the left, there was a guy, and I remember his car was pointing back east, and he had his, you know, in the gas pump, and it looked closed though. And I'm like, okay. So I looked to the north station, and there was 3 or 4 high school kids there, and I just looked at that side, and it looked closed too. So I said, well, I'll just keep going. And then around there, that's when I believe I shut the radio off, and you know, I believe that happened, you know, shortly before the accident. My intention at the time was to think about, we've got a couple very big cases going on, and I was going to shut that off and, you know, think about those cases is what I intended to do. You know, quiet time.
Okay. All right. So you remember going through Highmore, though?
Absolutely. I remember looking to the left and the right. And like I told you the first time, I remember looking at the signs, you know, off to the right about the speed zone and the distance to pier. You know, and then like I said, I think, you know, right before that, that's when I turned off the radio. And if you know, I've been thinking about it, you know, I mean, what was I doing exactly? But I think I looked down at the speedometer, because I traditionally put it on cruise.
Okay.
Not always, but a lot of the times. And I know I never got going very fast because I never locked it into cruise.
Okay.
And
so you used the cruise control, but you know that on this case you hadn't got back into turning the cruise on.
I think I had used it prior to the accident, you know, on the other stretch possibly, but I had not used it, I had not engaged it yet.
Right. Are those roads that you take from Pierre to Redfield, are those all 65 mile per hour zones?
I believe so, except for the towns, of course.
Except for
and sometimes I don't go that way.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if that matters. I mean, you can go another way. You can go to Miller, go out of Miller, and then go up to Redfield.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I didn't do that this
right.
time.
Do you have any idea what you would have been setting your cruise at when you were going?
You know, right around 65, you know,
okay.
65, 67,
okay.
You know.
Okay. But didn't have the, do you remember?
I never go more than 4 over,
okay.
ever, anywhere in the, you know, anymore. I just lock it in.
Okay. How about your high beams? Do you usually use your high beams?
I had used the high beams, but I had not clicked them on yet when I'd leaving Highmore.
Okay.
I'd used high beams from basically to Highmore. I mean, you know, I shut them down when we went through Miller and, of course, in Redfield.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I used my high beams appropriately. I used them on the road, but I did not have them up yet coming out of Highmore.
So getting to Highmore, you would have had them on, turned them off when you got in the Highmore
to town, yeah.
And then never turned them back on?
Correct.
Okay. So as you're going through Highmore, what else do you remember besides looking at the gas stations? They look closed, then what?
Just it was a dark night. I mean, that's what I remember. I vividly remember I can see those people, you know, at the gas pump, you know, and such, and around the station and such, but that's it.
Okay.
Nothing else sticks out, I guess.
Okay. And then what do you remember happening next?
Well, I guess when you say next, I mean, it was a hit.
Yep.
And I did not punch the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
My military training, you don't punch. I've always been taught you don't punch the brakes because then you could spin.
Okay.
So I tapped the brakes 3 or 4 times, trying to control the vehicle and you know, shake as you got to the side of the road, and brought it to control as best I could to safely get to the side of the road.
Okay.
I then, obviously, you know, there were some expletives and, you know, like what the hell happened, you know, and I put it in park, and I do believe now, you know, because quite frankly, Arnie, you made me remember when I showed you the picture, you know, I did put the flashers on, you know, because at first I just sat there for a minute going, what the hell happened? And I hit the flashers, and I got out of the car. And I kind of just shook my head a little bit and looked around, and, you know, and I then dialed 911. And I thought I was at Highmore, but I didn't want to tell the 911 I was at the wrong town.
Right.
So I walked towards town, talking with the 911 person, who said, to the best of my recollection, obviously you guys can listen to that, but it said something to the effect of, hello, 911, this is the Attorney General. I am about a mile west of Highmore, I believe. I've hit something in the road, and I believe it was a deer. And the only reason I believe it was a deer, because that's what it's season. I just think I didn't see anything, but I believe that that's what happens, and you know, this time of year. And then I said, she goes, who is this? And I said, I need some assistance. I said that somewhere in the call. And she says, who is this? And I think I gave my name, Jason Ravnsborg, versus title. And then I said, yes, I am near Highmore, because I could see the sign. And you know, that
what sign could you see?
The green town sign, I guess. I don't know what you call them officially.
Right.
So counsel.
Yeah, that would-
I mean, and I had walked back.
How far from where your vehicle stopped to where you walked do you think you walked?
I
You can
walked,
estimate. I know you don't
Yeah.
know exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I walked, well, there's the one piece of my car that I saw on the shoulder right off the road.
Is that larger?
The larger piece.
Yep.
I walked past that.
Okay. Westbound past that, right?
No,
Or eastbound. I'm sorry.
Eastbound,
Yep.
Yep, I'm going east at this
Okay.
point. And then she said something to the effect, the sheriff was the only one on duty, and that he would be out soon. And I said, that would be fine, or something, okay. And then I hung up, and clicked from there over to my camera, or my phone flashlight, and started looking for the deer, which I thought in the ditch at that point, and I walked the whole length back to my car, and then I remember taking a photo, the one I gave you, of the car, and then that's when the sheriff pulled up.
So how close do you think you got to the city sign, or the town sign?
A few steps past that, you know, I don't know, 5 steps maybe past that big chunk.
Okay. So just,
Ish.
you were real close to that chunk.
Right.
Okay.
Because I thought, obviously, the animal would be close to that, with a collision point, somewhere in there, and looked around there, and then walked back.
But so you walked past the piece of...
I walked past the
Vehicle.
piece of vehicle, east
Okay.
towards Highmore. Yes.
Okay. When you were walking past it, did you had your phone flashlight out, you said, or was that after?
That was after the phone call concluded.
Okay. And so when you were walking, were you on 911 at the time when you were walking?
Yes, I was walking and talking at the same time.
Okay. Right.
Walking and talking towards the sign. I would say I had an excited utterance, yes, it is Highmore. I am near Highmore, or some words to that effect. You know, I thought I was at Highmore, but again, I didn't want to say I was at Harold, and then, which is the next town,
Right.
and send the officer to the wrong location.
Right, yep. Okay, so you walk past, you're on the phone, and then when you start coming back, is that when you turn the phone light on?
Yeah, within, you know, I hung up, or she hung up, I don't remember who hung up, and then I turned the light on soon thereafter.
Okay.
I don't know, you know, how soon.
Right. Okay. And then you walked back towards your vehicle?
I walked towards the vehicle, and like I said, I took a picture, and then that's when the sheriff pulled up. The sheriff pulls up, and he says, you know, what happened? And I said, well, I think I hit a deer. And so the sheriff looked at, so I'm at the front corner taking that picture, and he walks up beside me, and he's looking at the car also.
Okay.
And he says something to the effect, well, at least it didn't hit the side window, you know, my passenger side window.
Right.
I mean, he saw what other damage was there.
Okay.
And then he kind of looked the car over, I would say, and then he looked at, and I told him that, you know, that I tried to brake and got it over as best I could, and then he looked at the car, and he looked back at the wreckage, I would say, and such, and then he said, well, grab your license, no, not your license, grab your registration and your insurance and meet me back at the car. So I then walked back to the car, and when I get in the car, well, no, I had to get in my car to get those 2 items.
And where were those items at?
My registration's always above my visor. It has a mirror, so you drop down the mirror, so you always have the registration there. And then the insurance was in the glove compartment, which at this point had been ajar.
Okay.
It had opened up based on the collision. I guess the one thing I remember that I told you at the beginning, I remembered something. My airbags did not deploy. It looked like from photos, and I think that's my car that Kelloland put out there, but you know, we couldn't see it exactly, but it looked like the airbags had deployed then. So they did not deploy from the crash, I guess, you know.
Right.
And so I guess I haven't seen my car since, so I don't know.
Right.
I mean, just telling you.
Okay.
Go back to the car, he says, he writes down, he takes those 2 items and he writes me out the red ticket, which I gave you a picture of.
Sure did.
And then he said, well, where do you live? Or where were you at? He asked me where I was at. I said, well, I'm in Redfield. I went to a political event and a Republican event over there, and he goes, well, you're not running this year, are you, already? And I says, no, but you're Attorney General, you're always running. You're always, out seeing the people, and I think that's what you got to do.
Your extra pen, please.
Sure.
Mine went dead.
Oh.
Sorry.
And, get out and find out what their concerns are and talk with them, and that's what you should do as a elected person. And he said something to the effect that, he loved his job, but he doesn't like the politics of it. And okay, I didn't really say much to that, I guess. And then he said, well, where do you live? Well, I started describing exactly where I lived. I think he meant, from what he said later, that he just wanted to know what town I lived in. But I was telling him exactly where I lived in town. I'm a little shook up. And he goes to the effect of, well, I can either take you there, or you can drive, but it'll be an hour for a tow truck. We talked about a tow truck, and I said, so I was confused. I says, well, we just talked about a tow truck, but you said I could drive. I do think the car is drivable. I mean, the motor runs and and everything, but is it safe to drive? I was just this was cloudy of my why is, and he says, no, you can I'll take you to my house and I'll give you my car and you can drive, or I can take you back. Well, somebody's offering me their car, or he's going to take his time to take me home. I quite frankly threw it back on him and I says, whatever works for you, Sheriff, or words to that effect. And he said, well, we'll take you to the house then, and we'll get you the car.
But you didn't think that the car wasn't drivable?
I thought the car, motor-wise, could drive, but I didn't know how safe it was with the windshield action.
Right. Okay.
I didn't test it out. Obviously, I got it to the side the best I could. But I guess I was deferring to the sheriff at that point.
Okay.
And he then takes me to his house.
Real quick before we get to that. So, the sheriff, he looked at the damage to the vehicle. Did the sheriff, while you were present, did he look at all it for anything that you would have hit?
Well, I know he looked at the car itself, and I know he looked at the wreckage, and I believe he was looking in the ditch.
Okay.
I didn't watch him exactly go back to his car, but I was, finding the registration, the insurance, looking around, and I looked back at him, and I thought I'd seen him once, glance in the ditch and such. But
right by where the cars were, though.
The cars were.
He didn't. Well, did you see him walk down the highway at all, like looking at the ditch?
Neither one of us ever went east of the crash, where the car stopped.
Okay.
We never went east of it. I mean, I took the picture, and that's when I stopped and then kind of deferred to him.
So the only time you had walked east was to find out if you were by Highmore.
Oh, sorry, I said it backwards now.
Yep.
I didn't walk west of the car further.
Okay.
I didn't walk any farther west than I'd come to the front of the car and taken that picture. I did not walk west of the car. I only walked east prior to the sheriff arriving, as I earlier described. And then when I obviously walked back to the sheriff's car, I did look again in the ditch. As I walked back to his car with my, I looked out there. I don't think I used my phone. But when I was just looking out when I walked back to the car, and
so in relation to your car, so your car was facing west. The sheriff pulled up. Did he pull up behind you?
Yes, he pulled up behind me.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he come from the east, or did he come and then turn around, or how did that work? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
How he ended up behind?
I mean, I can only speculate.
Okay.
He
That's fine.
He lives a quarter mile from the crash site,
west
of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. Yeah, he parked behind me, so I don't know where he came from. I guess he just appeared, and I showed him the vehicle. You know, showed him the front and everything.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember? Did the sheriff have, like, when he was looking around? Did he have a flashlight or anything? Do you remember at all, even?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not. Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. And any questions I ask, if you don't remember, just say you don't remember. That's best.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't want to speculate. I want to give you the facts.
When you were looking around or walking to find out where you were at, anything, did you move any of the debris?
No.
Okay. Didn't touch any debris?
Didn't.
Okay. Did you happen to see if the sheriff, when he was out there, moved any debris?
I did not.
You didn't see him?
What he did.
Okay.
You know, and then obviously I thought of later, obviously the tow truck came and got my car, but that was after I left the scene. You know, so somebody moved the car and the tow truck and the sheriff, because as I started to say, I was at the house with him. He backs his car out. I take it, I leave, and he pulled me over again. And he said, and I says, "Is there a problem, Sheriff? What else can I do for you?" And he says, "You didn't give me the key to the car." So I give him all my keys, and then he gave them back and says, "No, just give me the drive key." And so it came out of his lane, and I went west at that point, and I gave him the key back.
Okay.
You know, so he had to obviously, I assume, went back to the crash site when the tow truck driver came, because he's the one I gave the key to.
Right. Okay. And then you headed back to Pier?
I headed back to Pier.
Okay.
I called, as I said before, I called my father, Tim and Dave, and the sheriff. And I just coordinating. I guess I regularly tell Tim and Dave where I'm at.
Okay.
As Attorney General, you know, if I'm traveling, especially by myself, where I'm at. Those two know where I'm at.
Right.
And so I told them that I believe I, hit a deer and had an accident, and I asked Tim if he would help me the next day take that car back to the sheriff, and he said yes. And then I called the sheriff and said I had driven to Pier and I didn't see a tow truck pass me anywhere. Had it come yet? No. And when can I bring your car back? And he said anytime. Bring it back in the morning, whenever works for you.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Okay, so the call to the sheriff was just to set up
the return of his vehicle. Okay. I mean, I'm borrowing somebody else's property, and I think I should get it back to him.
Did the sheriff say anything about the accident or anything? You're asking questions
about
that?
He said that the tow truck driver hadn't been there yet, and bring it back whenever worked for me in the morning.
Okay. All right. So then you go back the next morning, correct?
Okay, so Tim meets me at my house approximately 8 o'clock, and I said, follow me, and, we did see 3 deer the next day going east back to Highmore. We saw 3 in the daylight, and we slowed down because of those, and then I said I wanted to go to Highmore and fill it up with gas, because I thought that was only the right thing to do again, that somebody loaned me their vehicle to give it back to them full. And so we filled it up, and as we drove by, some of the wreckage was still there on the road.
Did it look like it was in the same place that it was?
I don't know about that. Yeah, if it moved or not.
Right.
I mean, it's, obviously 10, 12 hours have passed.
Right. And I get from darkness to daylight. I get it.
Right, yep. I don't know if it moved or not, but it was still there, and I thought it could be a problem for another traveler. And I had thought along the way, I didn't look on the south side of the ditch. And so I told Tim, well, let's park on the north side, look there, and then let's look on the south side, because maybe the deer glanced off and went to the other side of the road. I did not check that the night before on the south side. Well, then we pull up to the site area, and again, I never saw, my car is gone at that point, so I don't know where my car is in relation to the body when I found it. So I went I went west and Tim went east, and then I found the body, and I just came to Tim and said, Tim, you gotta come here, I found a body. So Tim came up and looked at it, and then I said, well, now it's daylight, I can see the sheriff's house, and I said, we gotta go get the sheriff immediately. And he agreed, and so we did leave the site without calling 911, but my thought process is this is the quickest way I can get the sheriff, is to go to his house. He's right there. And so he walks out and says, good morning. And I said, I don't know. I said, Sheriff, I found a body. And his response was, you're shitting me. So, and I obviously thought that was genuine, that he was surprised that that was the case. And I said, you need to come with us. Here's your keys back. I handed him his keys to his car, and we just left it where I drove into the property at. And I got in with Tim, and the sheriff followed us back to the site. The sheriff said, to the effect of, first we got out, and then we showed him where it was at, and then he said, well, how are you doing? Well, I says, well, I'm pretty shook up right now. And he says, well, Tim, you take care of him and take him back, and I'll call DCI. And that's where we left it.
Okay. So when you said that the sheriff seemed genuine when he said, you're shitting me.
Well, that was his reaction. You're shitting me.
Okay.
Like, he was genuinely surprised that there was a body out there.
Okay.
I mean, not to take away from him in any fashion, that was just his response.
Okay. More of the reason I'm asking that, you're clarifying that is, are you now questioning, or were you questioning on whether the sheriff was genuine about that?
No. I want to make sure that's clear. I mean, if I said that wrong.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
He was surprised. I mean, he was probably as surprised as I was minutes previously in finding the body.
Right.
Just kind of a shock. You're shitting me.
Right.
And I mean, I thought I took that reaction as genuine, like, well, clearly he didn't know there was a body either, and that's, was all settling in to me. That,
So when you spoke to the sheriff at his house, do you remember what was he wearing? Was he, dressed like he was ready to go on duty, do you remember? Or, I mean, at 8:30 in the morning, you might catch him in pajamas.
So this is 9:30 in the morning.
Okay, 9:30. Okay.
Ish. Yep. Because we left Pier around 8. And then, like I said, we got gas, we went to the crash site, and then we went to the sheriff. And I guess, I don't remember if he's wearing a uniform or not, but I would say he's dressed like you folks. I mean, he dressed like he was gonna, go out, be out for the day appropriately. He was not in pajamas, per se, or some kind of night clothing. He was in standard clothing. I mean,
okay. Yeah, the reason 8:30, 9:30, you might catch me in,
on Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, you might catch me in, not ready to go.
Right, or I guess, I don't remember him looking like he was going to go to church, but I don't look like he's going to go to pajamas either. I mean, it's just standard clothes.
All right, so you showed the sheriff. He said he'd take over from there, and you and Tim, he released you and Tim from the scene.
He released me and Tim from the scene, and said he would contact DCI.
Okay. All right.
And that's what I remember, except for at some point, the Highway Patrol asked if I would do a blood draw, and I said absolutely, and I did that up at the jail. That's when I asked you where we were meeting exactly. At the top of the hill, there's actually the jail.
Oh, okay.
So I would, I met up there for that, and I believe that officer, Highway Patrol, was Schneider. Was his name.
Yep.
And he coordinated that with Tim.
Okay.
Because I called my father when I got home, or I got back to the office. And while I was doing that, that's when Tim talked with Highway Patrol to line that up.
So you said when you got back to the office, you went to the office, not home?
Yes, went to the office. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you do at the office?
Wait.
Just waited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of Well, he had said to Tim to look after me for a little while, so not to go home and leave me alone, I guess, was Tim's thing. He said, what? Because I think it was Tim's idea, let's just go to the office.
Okay, so Tim stayed at the office and too.
Yeah, he was with me.
Okay, all right.
And I know we went and we came here and did the blood draw. And we went back to the office for a little while, I think, and then he, you know, asked if I was okay and stuff to go home and such, and because now I don't have a car at all, so I know he had to take me home at some point.
Right. Okay. All right. So I just want to go back a little bit to when the accident happened. What is the last thing you remember upon impact when you hit something? What is the very last thing you remember about hitting, or, you know, at impact?
I think that I had just shut the radio off and looked down at the speedometer.
Okay.
I mean, I shut the radio off, you know, just soon from Highmore in, you know, Highmore to the site somewhere. And then I think I looked down at the speedometer I just seen the speed sign, and I did not engage the cruise.
Okay.
And then I shook to get to the...
Do you remember how you were feeling when you were driving home from Redfield that night? I mean, were you feeling tired, fatigued at all?
I do not feel fatigued. I felt normal. Normal driving. I did not feel fatigued.
Okay. Do you remember, were you using your phone at all for anything besides to make a couple phone calls?
Nope, the only phone calls I made were to my father, which ended prior to Miller.
Yep. Okay.
I have two phones, as you know. One was on the passenger seat, and the other one was on my console, and I did not, you know, use them, you know, then.
Okay.
You know, I do not have the phone in my hands when the crash happened. I had, you know, our hands on the wheel and looking at the speedometer.
Okay.
As best I can relate that.
So your phones, to unlock them, do you use mine? I can use a code or my thumb. I think my kids can actually use a facial recognition thing. They hold it in front of their face.
Right.
How are yours set up?
One doesn't have anything, and
which one doesn't have anything?
The personal phone, the Droid.
Okay. No security on that?
No security on that one.
Okay. And how about your work phone?
You have to punch a code in. That's the one.
So you can't just use a thumbprint or anything like that. You actually got to enter in a code. How many numbers is your code? 4 number? Okay. But you don't remember using your phone for anything other than phone calls? Or to your dad that night on the way home?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
How's your vision?
Good.
Do you have night vision problems, anything like that?
No, I'm in the Army, so I had a vision test a year ago.
Sure.
And I came out fine. I have no glasses or anything.
And I know some people have trouble seeing stars and stuff at night, and I was just curious if you experienced any of that stuff.
No.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. So have you had any other contact with the sheriff at all?
No, I have not I have not had any contact at all with the sheriff. I think Tim might have reached out because we were trying to figure out who the family was.
Oh, okay.
You know, to offer condolences, sympathy. And, you know, I think Tim might have, do you know these people? Do they have a relative? Who is the right person?
Were you guys ever able to get anywhere with that?
No. No, not at all.
Okay.
We found a different way to find out than a funeral home. They put the obituary and put the funeral home of where that had happened, and then we learned that the father passed away about 6 weeks prior We were looking to reach out to the mother, but we saw that and did not reach out then because obviously she just lost her husband and then 6 weeks later loses a son. So we just didn't think that was the right time.
Right.
Because the father was still on the funeral home registry. Also.
Okay. All right. So on your phone then, you have you have email on your work phone, I assume?
Correct.
Okay. How do you open up your email? Is it just like I have a mail icon basically?
Right. You
I
click
can hit
on
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that for a South Dakota State email or?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have other emails besides your work email?
Yes.
Okay. But your work, you just click something and boom, you're in, right? What other kind of emails do you have?
Campaign email.
Okay.
And personal email, and in military email.
Okay, so the campaign email, what would that, is that like a Gmail, a Yahoo mail?
Yahoo mail.
Okay, that's Yahoo. And how about your personal?
It's also Yahoo, different one.
Okay. Military, what's that? Is that like a...
It's a dot mil.
.mil,
yeah.
.us or whatever?
That's your name,
okay.
.mil at mail.mil or something, yeah.
Okay. And you had both phones with you when you went to
Correct.
the dinner, and then you brought them, you had them both when you came home, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
What's the address for your campaign?
Do you have any Google Mail accounts? Any Gmails?
Yes, so it's more campaign related again,
Okay,
but
so you have
it's the same.
Okay. And that's a campaign email?
Yes,
Okay.
predominantly, yeah.
Okay. I assume they're all kind of used
A little bit. I mean, try not to, but
try.
yeah. I mean, some people, and you
Mhm.
meet them and you move them over to a different email,
Right.
sometimes.
Okay. So now, any of these emails, do you have to get into those? How do you get into those on your phone?
Well, first off, I don't get into the Gmail one on my phone at all,
Okay.
ever.
Okay.
I don't like Gmail. It's not as easy, user-friendly for me. And then the other one, you have to go on to the internet, I guess.
Okay. So you actually have to go in to click on Safari or whatever, go into Yahoo,
Right.
and then sign in.
Right.
Okay.
And then my military email, quite frankly, I just ever use that on my laptop that they've given me.
Okay.
Because it's complicated. It's got long passwords and stuff you gotta enter in every time to.
Do you have the VPN at all?
Yeah.
With your laptop?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you were driving, you don't remember going into any of these email accounts while you were driving home that night?
No.
Okay. Are there any websites that you do frequently use, that you frequent on your phone?
Well, when I'm around my house or around, a building, maybe you check out the news and such, I mean, I try to use my laptop and or, personal computers, laptops, desktops, stuff like that, predominantly. I use them once in a while.
Do you have any certain sites you check the news on? Particularly, any favorites or common ones?
Well, now with political season, I actually look at Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. I look at the three big networks, I guess I call it. That would be what I traditionally look at, I guess.
Okay. How about any of the local newspapers? Do you do those online then?
I haven't since this, until this happened.
Okay, I bet not.
I was not a normal 10 o'clock at news or watcher of the frequent news. I guess we get the Argus Leader paper and the Rapid City Journal paper at the office, and I tend to look at those, but I will look at those at the office periodically.
Okay. So what would you think, though, if I told you that when they did the phone extractions, they found some internet activity on your phone around that time?
Well, I guess I don't not use my phone, but I did not use it at the time of the crash. No.
Okay. But were you using it up to the time of the crash?
Not that I recall.
Are you aware what phones will actually tell us, Jason?
Yeah, somewhat,
Okay. So they're pretty straightforward.
Right, okay.
And there isn't any manipulation that you can do with
Right. I didn't do anything to them.
So, right.
No.
Right, and we didn't either.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And it's like...
The best I can recall is that the one phone was on my, on the seat, and I never touched that one. That's the Droid. That's the one they said they couldn't get the information off of and would have to mail to New Jersey. And it slammed into the wheel well, is what I remember. The other one, I remember, I would say prior to or right at Highmore, I set it down on, but through the journey it fell down a few times, but onto the gear shift, but I was not using it at the time. I know that.
Okay. So you set it down about when you got to Highmore?
Yeah, around Highmore, the console, there's a little console. I set it on top, and I know I had both plugged in, both were charging. Yeah, but it would slip down, and I'd pick it up, and,
So what were you doing before you got to Highmore, if you set it down at Highmore?
I look at the time and such. I know I do that. I would open it up, and I'd see the time better. But, I glance at it,
Okay.
Nothing sticks out, I guess.
When you say glance at your phone, what do you mean by that?
Glance and see what time it was.
Okay.
Just a periodic check. I sometimes listen to podcasts, but I was not.
Okay.
That night. That's another app I use.
Yep.
Sometimes, but I will play it and it sits down.
Right. Are you able to Bluetooth your phone in so that if you listen to a podcast or receive a phone call, is it hands free for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And or you can just hear it from the phone.
Okay.
The Suburban, which I have for work, I can Bluetooth it better than my car.
Okay.
Lay it on this. I'd lay it right the same place there. I guess I always lay it the same place.
Okay. So you lay it there and just let the speaker...
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So were you using your phone, besides for the phone call to your dad, which we know, I mean, that's
right.
Were you using your phone at all for any other activities on that drive home that night?
I didn't have any texts that I sent, and typically if I would text, I would do voice to text, which I know I didn't do that night. And the work email, but I didn't do any of that. I guess that's what I remember.
Okay. You don't remember signing into a Gmail account, though?
No. Because it's just always hard to get to where you need
That
to go.
one's a hard one to get to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do have 2 Yahoo
Yes.
accounts. Do you remember signing into either of those? Because when you go in and you want to go on your Yahoo account, do you have to actually manually enter in your username and password, or are they do they autofill?
They autofill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go in and then click sign in. They would be there, and then probably another sign in thing or whatever. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Do you remember being on either of those?
I guess it's possible that I could have checked those, yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you ever go on the Dakota Free Press?
Yes.
What is that?
That's a blog.
Okay.
That's a blog here, politics, yes.
Oh, it's a political blog?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's another one then, Dakota War College.
Okay.
Also a blog.
All right.
I guess you see what the headlines are more than anything, yes.
How about Real Clear Politics?
Okay, yes.
Okay, what's that one?
Politics, and it has a whole bunch of stories and stuff of the day, but that's more national politics, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's more of a national site, not where I assume Dakota Free Press is a South Dakota political blog?
Yes.
Okay. How about what's Just the News?
Just the News. No, I don't recognize that one.
Okay. All right. Have you ever read the article Riding the Dragon? It's a documentary about Joe Biden.
It's not familiar to me,
Okay.
I guess.
All right. Well, here, I'll kind of show you where I'm getting that stuff from.
Yes, absolutely.
So, here's kind of the information that was put together on your phone and here's our times. So, outgoing call, 10:24. So that's what time you made the 911 call. So, and that's all fine and dandy, But leading up to that, at 10:20, you unlock your phone, signed into your Yahoo Mail account. Also, and then signed out. At 10:20:49, you were on the Dakota Free Press site. These are all on your work phone. A minute later, you were on the Real Clear Politics website.
Okay.
And then about a minute later, this article was pulled up through the Just the News, which could have been something that you were on this and it had a link to click to get you to this one regarding this. It's an article about Joe Biden and something with China. So you were on that up to about, we're going to estimate probably a minute before the accident.
Okay.
You were on that. Do you remember any of these?
Well, I remember looking at it, but that's when I set my phone down prior to. Yeah.
Okay. Because then, like I said, we're looking at a minute to 2 minutes before you call 911.
Right.
So, the concern being is that we know that from the time of impact, there was a time period that went by before you called 911. You had to realize what was going on, come to a stop, get your bearings back about you, get out, look at the damage a little bit, figure out what the hell is going on. You're trying to figure out where you are, call 911. So it's reasonable to say that there was a minute to 2 minutes that passed from impact to when you were actually on the phone with 911, right? That would be reasonable, correct?
I guess, yeah.
So when we look at that, our concern is everything that we're seeing here is appearing that you were on your phone reading political stuff at the time.
But I just wasn't. I set it down. I know I did.
Did you maybe set it down after the accident?
No, because I grabbed it and went out.
And it was sitting in the center console area?
Center console area, absolutely.
Okay, so when the impact happened, that phone was sitting in the center console?
Absolutely.
Okay. see where this obviously
Well, yeah,
it's an issue.
Part of this, Jason, is we have a job,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely,
People make mistakes,
right.
and we're thinking you made one.
I don't remember being on my phone. I set it down, and I shut the radio off, and I looked at the speedometers, the best I remember.
Yeah.
But I don't, that's what I was, worried, how fast does that transmit, that you do that, that you set it down. And I never shut the browser, I guess, a lot,
Yeah. But it shows you unlocked it and such, so, it's a tough position. We
Right.
know,
Right.
we know. But it's like, it's sure appears to be a problem here. And we want to get ahead of it,
Right,
just like you do.
right.
I get it. I know
Mhm.
what kind of position you're in. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But these don't disappear, too.
Right, I understand.
I mean,
I look at
you're
stuff.
smart enough to know
I
that
look at stuff.
technology is
But I
instant.
I remember I sat it down because I was getting rid of distractions because I wanted to think about these cases. But I shut it down there.
And it could have been just at that moment. But you know
Right.
you know the speed of technology today. You're a smart
Right.
man,
Right.
and it's like the speed of technology is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
But I was not looking at it when it happened. I won't say that I was. No, I set it down, and I went to hit I shut the radio off, and I looked at the speedometer.
Mhm. So is it maybe when all that was going on that the impact happened?
Well, that's the best message that I can remember. Boom.
Mhm.
yeah, and it could be instantaneous.
Right.
Right.
And we get that.
Right.
We
Yes.
get that.
It
It could be instantaneous, and like you said the last time,
Right.
wham, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're putting it down, it could be wham, there it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I set it down. I remember sitting it down. I pretty confident I shut the radio off, and then went, looked at the speedometer. This was the best I remember. And then wham. I was not looking at my phone. I know it's the law, and I was not looking at it at the time it happened. No.
You've been kind of called out on that before too, haven't you?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So somebody, when you were texting or tweeting when you were going through the Black Hills,
Well,
that was a similar type situation where,
well, yeah.
and you got kind of called out on it. That's what I mean.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
we heard about all that.
Mhm.
Joe and I have done, we want to cover every basin
Right.
we have.
Right.
And I can assure you, we have gone as far.
Well, obviously, I'm political. I get called out on lots of stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't look necessarily how it looks,
Right.
And it may or may not be appropriate,
Right.
Mhm.
granted.
Right.
And
Right.
so I can see where, in a situation like this, all of a sudden this is wham.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do I do? And it's like, I don't know what just happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that something's going on really serious here, and I got to figure it out. And I kind of think that's what you're. I've done this for 40
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
I started in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my 39th year.
Right.
So in that time, I've had situations like this before,
Mm-hmm.
where all of a sudden you have to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fast, and it's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where it's like, oh, I should not have done this. I should not have been doing this, and now I'm kind of in a jam. What do I do?
I still believe I was not on my phone when the moment happened.
But
I laid it down.
But you agree that it could have been at that moment that you were putting it down.
I still believe I put the phone down and reached to shut the radio off. Now, Was that 10 5 seconds, 20 seconds? I don't know. But, wham, it's close relation, I guess.
Yeah, it's really close.
Right. But I was not doing it at the time of the impact. I set that phone down. I know I did.
Do you remember reading that article at all?
No.
It's basically about Joe Biden. I looked at it as well.
Okay.
Because when we get these,
Right.
Jason, we can go look at what you're looking at.
Right, yeah.
And it's about,
Yeah, about some conspiracy with Joe Biden in China.
in China.
Who knows? I didn't read the
I guess
whole
I would say I glance at headlines a lot.
Sure.
I don't read articles when I'm driving.
Right.
And it probably
glance
was an
at the
intriguing headline, I mean, I would guess.
Right. Right. Because when we enter in the address that was on your phone,
Mhm.
it actually takes you to the article. It's not just like a headline where you scroll down and see other headlines or whatever. You were on that article.
Okay, so like you go from Real Clear Politics
Mm-hmm.
to the article, and you can click on, that's what Real Clear Politics is, you click on articles,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
and then they
Yep.
take you to the article.
So, right. Kind of what I was saying is I think you were
Right.
probably in Real Clear Politics, clicked on this Riding the Dragon, which took you to just the news and that article.
Okay,
But I'm speculating
Yeah, I don't
too
know,
on,
yeah.
I'm guessing
right.
on that.
Yeah, I've never heard of just the news, no.
Right. Which made me think then that you were on Real Clear Politics, clicked on an article, and
Right.
they probably have it embedded in their site that you go to these sites for the article.
Right.
But you don't remember reading that article
No.
at all?
Okay. Like I said, I glance at headlines at best.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I know you said you glance at headlines. This one you actually went into the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you actually,
Right, but,
it went and it took you to the article
right, yeah.
itself.
But then that's the headline there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
My recollection
so
is I'm getting rid of distractions, because I'm gonna think about those two cases. I know those cases. I'm setting it down, shutting it off.
So that part of, like we were just talking about, Jason, and the part that you had told us in our last interview, where it was, I didn't see what I hit until the impact.
Mm-hmm. Well, I never saw.
That's your quote.
Okay.
So in
Okay.
light of that, that would make sense. That right there would make sense. You're putting it down, wham, and then your head's up. It's like I just hit something.
Again,
Does that sound logical?
Well, I'm getting rid of distractions, and I look, like I said, I remember my hand, for that radio, and then to the speedometer is what I believe happened.
So you had your phone call. This is back up a little bit.
Okay.
So you had your phone call, and then...
With my father, are we talking about?
Yep. And then even the second one with your dad. How about on your way there? Were you on your phone talking to anybody then? Do you remember what you were looking at when you were driving out there?
No, I don't think I called anybody.
Okay. Do you remember what you were looking at?
I might have looked at articles and stuff again, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it's hard. Because
Right.
I've driven it.
Right.
It is not an exciting road.
Right.
I can guarantee you that. And
But I do remember I listened, like I told you before, I started to listen to these, and they're in the car yet, I told you, the discs. They're books on tape.
yeah.
And I listened to them for a while, but I just didn't like either one of them.
Yeah, you said they didn't.
Yeah,
They
they're
were
boring.
not intriguing at all.
Right.
So, do you do both then? Were you on your phone while you're listening to the book?
Usually not, no. It's one or the other, yeah.
How much time did you spend looking for your insurance card?
The insurance card took a little longer. I mean, the other was right there. And then, because I remember I looked at it, And then it was not the right one. It's like the year behind.
Sure.
You know, and I looked at it, and that wasn't right, and I looked at it a little while longer, and I took it back to the sheriff. And then I said, I don't got the right one, you know. I mean, I think as he was writing it out, and he says, hell, nobody's got the right one. Usually I got about 5 of them in the car. He said something to that effect.
Sure.
You know.
And that was on the visor, the other was in the glove box?
The glove box, yes.
Did you have to take things out of the glove box?
Yes, I had to move stuff around, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you notice anything on the passenger side while you were doing that?
Just glass. I mean, I was staying away from the glass, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time.
So, when you're doing that, are you leaning over the console?
Yes,
or are you...
from the driver's door, leaning over, yes.
Okay. So you can kind of see in the glove box, and
Right.
which
And
is already
like I said,
popped open.
It's already popped open, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, did you see the glasses right next to that?
I did not.
Okay.
You showed me the glasses the first time.
They're-
The first time
They're Joe's glasses.
I wondered about that.
So that means his face came through your windshield. It's a tough thing.
Oh. I was thinking that his face did not come through because there would have been I thought there'd been blood everywhere then. Now, you know, I've thought about it.
Yeah, and you've had time.
Right.
His glasses are right there, Jason. Those are Joe's.
I did not see the glass until you showed it to me.
Sure.
Oh.
So the only way for them to get there is through the windshield. At the impact, did you look over and see anything?
I did not see any. I mean, it was. Again, I then was looking to get it to the side. I did not see anything. No, absolutely not. You know, not. It shattered, and I probably cringed or something. But I was just trying to get it to the side. I did not see him. I did not know there was a human until the next day.
Okay, so
No.
when the glasses are in there, it's like his lenses, and we have a witness. We've talked to witnesses that actually had seen him out there as well.
I did
In
not
fact-
see those glasses
in
until
fact-
you showed it.
Yeah, and so we know they're Joe's. Okay, and I know that doesn't help you feel any better,
Oh, no.
and I know you feel bad about this, Jason.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But
No matter what happened, somebody
Right.
died.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so I mean, you have to look at it from our
absolutely.
our side of it. We're
Mhm.
we're just trying to find
Mhm.
the facts. We know what we know, and we're explaining it, you know, as best as we can. We know certain things. We know those are his glasses. They were on his head because they were seen on his head. They ended up in your car.
I never saw him until
Okay.
you showed him to me.
Okay.
I never saw them, no.
One of the other things that we know, Jason, is you weren't in the middle of the road. You were on the shoulder. And I know it happens fast, because it's happened to me. We have 3 people putting him next to the grass. So we knew something was happening. I mean, you're a smart man. You know, Joe and I have done this job a long time. We know what the evidence is going to show us, what the evidence does show us.
I don't remember. I remember being in the road, but you know, she'll show me what the evidence shows. But
Yeah, yeah. So part of the evidence that is really convincing is there is bone scrape on the inside of the rumble bars, and that's where his leg was likely broke. That's where the pieces were at.
So how did he get farther down the road. I mean, did he ride? How did that?
His face was in your windshield, Jason. Think about that.
And you're going 65 to 70 miles per hour, so from the time it takes you to slow down, and you figure how far you went at 65 to 70 miles per hour just before it clicks that you need to stop.
But doesn't it show that I braked a few times? You know, I trying to stop.
It wasn't, we tested your brakes work fine.
Uh-huh.
There's also ABS, so they don't skid.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that. Yes, I've heard about that.
So not only do they not skid, they slow you down relatively fast, but they don't skid, because each one of the brakes are working independently.
Okay.
Each wheel.
I don't,
So
understand all that, but yes, I understand.
So that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
Okay. And so you got to think about the momentum, and as you're going, sooner or later the stopping power is going to make him pop out.
Okay.
And he goes into the ditch.
And you would think, I guess I thought, if that's what happened, he, braking multiple times, he'd have fallen off, not just at the last time. Because, I never saw him in relation to the car. So I don't know where he was in relation to the car.
You mean as his body?
Yeah.
His body-wise, or what?
Right, yeah.
Where are you trying to...
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because the car they took away, and I found the body the next day, I never saw the car with the body, or vice versa,
We know that his face came through your windshield. We know that. We already talked about that. That's, I would think, substantially clear that that's what happened. We also have the imprint on the hood where his body, well, at least part of his body, likely was riding. At some point in time, he rolls off, takes out the mirror, and slides into the ditch.
I never saw him.
I want you to be really honest right now.
I am. I never saw him.
I got another question for you.
Okay.
Did you see the flashlight he was carrying?
No.
Ever? When you walked back to town?
No flashlight.
It was pitch dark out there.
Right.
And with it being pitch dark, we went out and tested it.
Okay.
We picked up the flashlight.
Right. Okay.
The flashlight was still on when Joe and I got to the scene.
Okay.
It had not been touched.
Uh-huh.
We picked it up and the light is still on.
Okay.
We talked to a witness that had just seen the light, had seen him walking with the light.
Okay.
After the crash, did you see that light in the dark? Because it's pitch dark. If there's something glowing,
right,
it would make sense for you to see it.
Right. I did not see any light, no.
Are you certain?
I am absolutely certain.
Just because, Jason, we went out there another night with that flashlight recently and put it back in the same spot it was in, with it back on, and it's hard to miss. I mean, it truly is hard to miss when you're out there, especially if you're walking back towards Highmore.
Right.
And we walked on both sides of the highway to give... We wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt.
No, absolutely.
We wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. Because we knew you walked towards Highmore.
Yes.
So on your way back, we walked on both the south side and the north side, and that flashlight was like a beacon.
I don't know if I turned around at the wrong spot then or what. I don't know. I did not see a flashlight. I didn't see him in the face, no. I did not. I did not. I did not know it was a man until the next day. No.
I think you had an idea it was something other than a deer, though.
I just believed it was a deer. I do. I know it sounds, but I've never hit a man before. I've hit a deer, because that's the time of season to do that.
In your 911 call, though, Jason, you say, I hit something.
Right, because I don't know what it was, but I assumed it was a deer. I never saw a deer. I never saw a man. I just assumed it was a deer. I hit something. I just assumed it was a deer. Because what else would there be? I had no, and I still don't believe, I would not expect a man to be on the side of the road in dark like it was. I would not think that a person would be out there at that time. I would think a deer, though, would hit you at that time in this season with crops and everything. I did not know, I did not know it was a man until the next day. And I guess the best witness to that is Tim the next day, who saw my reaction, you know, and that I was extremely shook up that it was that was a person. No, his face went through the sheet.
I think you'd have been shocked no matter when.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think anybody would ever disagree with that. Absolutely. If anybody, I mean, this lady down in Hot Springs the other day hit somebody, obviously.
So, part of me has some belief that you maybe saw something the night before. And what I'm going to do is just a little demonstration. I'm just going to take a white piece of paper. This room was pitch dark.
Okay.
And there was any light. Would you see that because of the contrast of the color around it?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't necessarily believe you would.
Okay. And that, so we did this as well. So the grass out there is obviously green.
Right.
Is less than 2 feet off of the road. Less than 2 feet into the grass. You know, you found them.
Right.
Less than 2 feet. Did you see something white laying there? Because, I mean, as you know, he didn't have clothes on that were covering the white part of his body. I mean, you're a smart man. You know, you would understand that because there's such a contrast.
I did not see him the night before. I don't know where he is in relation to my car because I never saw him and the car together. You would have to tell me where he was because I did not see him in relation to the car ever.
He was very close to that large piece of debris, though.
He was? He was?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the day before, we stopped where the debris was. I guess if you had asked me that question at the beginning, I would have said he was up the road from the debris, that large piece of debris.
No, he's just not very far from. I'm not saying he was right even with.
Yeah, he wasn't right.
Yeah, right even with. He wasn't very far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because think about it. You said you parked at that piece of debris on the 13th in the morning when you guys came back.
Well, we parked around it.
Right around it.
It was kind of like the starting point of where to look.
And you didn't walk very far, though.
I walked up we walked west from that, though. I thought quite a ways. You know, I mean, quite a ways is a relative term.
Right.
I mean, but because I went back towards Tim, I guess I would have to maybe ask Tim, where do we park in relation to that piece of debris, I guess, because we had two vehicles, one on each side, and what?
Sure.
I did not see him the night before.
And I'm not saying that he was within 10 feet of that debris, but he was not very far from that large piece of debris laying on. I mean.
Okay. I guess I would have said the next day, you know, that he was a ways from that, yes.
You would have to agree he was right next to the road, though, where you found
He was on a slope, yes.
a little bit of a slope.
Yep.
But we measured it's less than 2 feet.
Oh my God. I walked back towards him. I looked. And if he's not by my car?
Well, he's not going to be right by your car where you stopped. We determined where your car was stopped at.
Good, because I thought you would with the picture.
We did.
You know.
We did.
I'm thinking about that now. I went around. I didn't check on that side of the car that night. I went around to take the photo when the sheriff came.
Do you normally wear a Fitbit, Jason?
No.
Do you have a tracking app on your phone?
I don't know.
So as you walk, GPS tracks you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple Fit.
Okay.
Apple Fit.
Okay.
It's just an app on your
Then
phone.
it's an app that I don't know about.
Yeah. It counts your steps.
It counts your steps.
Okay.
It's run off a GPS,
Uh-huh.
and so we know you're on that side of the road.
Right. Yeah, I never left. I
You
guess
stayed on that side. You said that earlier.
Right.
even.
I guess what I was trying to say is I think when I came back, I came out around the front, and then that's where I took the photo here.
Okay, so
I didn't go around.
You're saying this would be your car.
If that's my car, yes.
You went around
This way, on the highway.
It's not that close to your car.
Okay.
It's not that close to your car.
Okay, well, thanks.
No, the debris is...
Because I'm saying I didn't look here, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you would have found nothing,
Right.
other than washer fluid. That's the only thing you would
That's
have
what
found.
you said earlier the first time.
Go back 60 feet,
At least, yeah.
something like that, and that's where he's at. And that's, go back probably 75 feet, and that's where your debris is at.
Okay.
So it all lines up.
Okay, I understand that then. Yeah, I mean, I thought you'd meant he was over here
Oh,
somewhere.
no. I'm saying, if this is the road, the edge of the road, this is where his body's at. It's 2 feet. So it's a little bit more. So his body is in that close to the edge of the road, and he is white, because he's got no blood in. I mean, he's obviously deceased. I think he was deceased the moment he hit the car.
Well, that's
And so he is lily white. Any light that hits that is gonna glow.
I did not see him the night before. I'll swear on stack of Bibles. I did not see him the night before. I did not.
So where were you looking when you were walking back towards Highmore? Did it establish that you were by Highmore? Where
Well,
were you?
I guess I was looking, that direction. I mean, to the right, I was looking to look at the green Highmore sign.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking and looking to try and see that sign to make sure that's and then I turn around and I'm looking into the ditch. So I don't know exactly where I turned around and saw him. I didn't see him. I did not see him.
So it was 400 and some steps from your car towards Highmore.
Okay.
You had to walk by him.
I might have walked by him, but I didn't see him.
But you also had to walk by the light. That's the really confusing part. Again, the light's still on.
And the flashlight's lit up and glowing.
Yeah, it's
not in the grass deep. I mean, it's on the very edge of the grass. So I mean,
it's like right on the edge of the grass. There's a couple blades of grass here, but this is all
I don't know
wide
where
open.
I don't know where my steps were. I turned around. I did not see those things. I did not see him until the next day.
So we also walked back to the Highmore sign to see how close you have to get to see it.
Okay.
And I have 2015 and 2020, so I have pretty good vision.
Right.
And you had to go by. There was no question about it in order to read that sign.
Well, I mean, from what you're telling me, I'm not disputing that I went by, but I didn't see him at all. I did not see him until the next day. And I did not know about the glasses until you told me.
Let's look at it this way. Did you see something and just didn't pay any attention?
No.
I mean, because
No.
I mean, I know you're shook up.
Yes.
I know just from talking to you the next 2 days later or whenever we talked to you, you were still shook up. And I can appreciate that. Again, and it's like, so in light of that, I'm saying, did you just maybe not pay attention when you walked by, or I mean, how? I mean,
I was just scanning. I did not see him. I mean, I'm scanning, but I didn't. And it's a camera light. It's not great either.
But if you're looking for a deer,
you'd be looking at the ground.
You're looking at the ground, aren't you? Wouldn't you look at the ground?
I looked both. I kind of did. I mean, I don't know where my hand went exactly, but I did
that's
not
impossible
see,
to know.
Right.
We get that. We get that.
But I did not see him. I did not see him. No. I did not see him. I don't know what else to tell you. I didn't.
You know what, Jason, if I'd have an easier time believing this if he still had clothes on. Because he had
I saw him
a
the
blue
next
shirt.
Yeah, a dark shirt.
And jeans.
But I didn't look. We didn't look at him real close the next morning either. You know, when I saw him, when I found him the next morning. I did not see him that night. No, I did not. I can see how you say I should have seen him, but I didn't see him.
And I'm just doing it from a logical...
No, I did not see him.
That's what I'm just saying. It's from a logical perspective, and that's what we're talking about all along here. We from a logical perspective, if you went by that, I'm looking, I would have seen that. And we asked a number of people, so when you go looking for a deer, you know, what...
I scanned into the ditch and walking back towards my car, but I did not see him.
They also say, I mean, the people we talked to said, so I was in a meeting with a group of investigators, and I said, how many of you hit a deer? Every single one in that room. And there was 9.
Right.
I said, how many of you did not know you hit a deer? Every single one of them knew they hit a deer. So that's why I think the phone part came. That explains that part. That kind of explains that part of it. The part of him laying on the side of the road.
But then the next morning, we found him at 9:30. People had gone by, and they didn't see him either.
Yeah,
you know?
and we saw that.
Right.
Joe and I saw that.
Right.
But you know what? I mean, he was off the level. But as long as you were on from the fog line over, you could see his body. You could see the white. But if you were like walking down the center of the road, which I'm thinking if you just hit something, you're not going to walk down the middle of the road because those cars come along pretty fast, and you didn't want to be a statistic either.
But I don't remember any cars coming when I was there until the sheriff came. I did not see him.
So nobody stopped by to see if you were
needed help
okay
or anything? Nope. I called 911 and the sheriff came. That's the only.
So those are the only
2 that went by that I don't.
That you noticed.
I mean, when the sheriff came, you know, I kind of, like I said, I'm looking at the car. He's on my side. I don't remember anybody going past then, but you know, up to that point, nobody had come. You know, nobody.
But you were also on your phone too, as well, though, right?
Well,
you were calling people and saying, "I just got in a crash."
On the way home.
Oh, that's on the way home.
Yes.
Okay.
After I got the sheriff's. No. Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't call until
But you had sent them text messages with the photos and, hey, I got into an accident. I'm okay. Car not so good. That was during that time, right?
Well, I took the photo, and then the sheriff comes. I don't think I send it until I leave the sheriff. I don't think I call anyone until I'm going down the road again.
And that's when you send the text messages to Nadvig and Borman? Then?
Somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
And we just want to get, we want to make sure we get everything in the right order.
I did not see him the night before. Absolutely not. I did not see him until I discovered him the next day. And got Tim, got the sheriff. I never saw the glasses until you told me when we were here in this room. You know, I was looking at the insurance. That's all.
I mean, you have to.
Well,
you have to give us a little something here,
that.
Jason. Okay. Initially, you were driving down the middle of the road. We know that's not true. You were 10 and 2 driving, and you didn't see this guy walking down the middle of the road. We know that's not true. Jason, you're a good guy. You're not used to being in this pickle.
I am a good guy, yes.
I agree. You're not used to this. We're used to people that are used to being in that seat.
Right, I understand that. I mean, I understand
So that's
the
why
process.
we're, and I know you understand the process. I'm not second guessing that at all. What I'm saying is, if you look at it from our perspective,
Oh, I get it.
okay, things haven't been straightforward by any means. In fact, some people would call you a liar.
I am not a liar.
Some people, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying there's some mistakes made here, though. You would have to agree with that.
I don't know what I'd have done differently. I believed I was in the road, and I believe I set my phone down, shut the radio off, and was looking to put the cruise control on. And I didn't find him. I did not find him until the next day. I mean, it pains me tremendously to hear that his face went through the windshield. But I didn't look over. I was trying to stay alive myself at that point and get over. And I looked at the car, and I didn't see any blood. You know, I've been thinking to myself, if his face went through, it had to be blood everywhere. You know, would have been on the car. Because you got more skin here than
Actually,
hair.
that's not true, because
Okay.
I believe he was dead on impact.
Right.
The second you hit him, he was dead. His heart's not working anymore. He is dead. So it's not pumping anymore. It's just sitting there.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I mean, but that's how I was envisioning it.
And I could see...
I was thinking, I was thinking
That's
in the
what
back
I'm
of
saying.
his head, and
I'm trying to clarify it for you as well.
right. Well, that's it, because I would obviously like to know what the, how he rode the car and where he ended up and everything. It never made sense to me. And I figured it had to be the back of his head, and hair doesn't have the capillaries and everything your face has to spread blood, because there's no blood that I saw in the car or even on the outside of the car when we looked at it.
But it is a red car.
Well, it's a red car, and it is dark.
Yeah.
The people have been like, oh, there was blood on the road. Well, how do you tell that it's blood on the road versus washer fluid or it's just the road? I mean, it's dark.
Yeah, and
That's super dark, and I'm not expecting to have a person walking down the road or the shoulder even at that time of night or day.
Yeah.
It only makes sense that it was a deer to me.
The other thing, that question that I brought up to this group,
Uh-huh.
how many of you went back the next day to look to see what your
Now,
deer looked like?
I got that, and I didn't go back to look at him because I thought that I'd hit a man. I went back because the debris was still there.
No, what I'm saying is, I asked them, how many of
Mhm.
you went back to look at the deer,
Right,
to find the deer?
right.
And none of them did.
Well, yeah, but most of them probably found the deer or
Right.
left the scene from there. I mean, I'm bringing it back, and if I wouldn't, I thought I was doing the right thing, getting gas to give back to the sheriff. And I said, well, let's look for, the deer. I was just curious of how did it play out. It just felt like a thunderbolt hit my car, And where did he go? Maybe he went to the other side. I didn't know. And I was kind of trying to put my mind at ease of how did this happen? But I guess to my credit, I'm also like, well, if I didn't find him, how long would he have laid there? And I told the sheriff, and the sheriff was surprised. The sheriff's on the scene at least twice, and so is the tow truck driver. And none of them thought it was suspicious that it was not a deer. I guess I wasn't there when the tow truck driver was there, though, so I don't know what he saw or didn't see, but he didn't jump up and down to tell the sheriff, hey.
Yeah, there was a whole lot,
Right.
the car was gone.
Right.
Obviously, you were gone. Tow truck guy is gone.
Right.
But we tracked everybody.
Mhm, right.
We're tracking
I would think so,
everybody
yes,
down.
absolutely.
We're not leaving anything uncovered.
Well, I get it, though. I get strict scrutiny because of who I am,
Yep.
Well, I think this would happen no matter what, because I think your guys would be sitting in these chairs if it was somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know that.
I did not see him the night before. I did not find him till the next day.
So you're not really sure how far you walked to see the Highmore sign?
No. I walked back in that easterly direction towards the sign until I could see that enough that I could tell it was Highmore, the sign.
Okay. Do you remember walking by a marker? A road marker? Just one of the yellow X's that they put on a post?
No.
Like on a white, no, it's just on a regular post, I guess.
No.
You don't remember seeing that at all?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking off to that direction, to the east, to the right. That's where the sign's at, on that side of the road. And I don't know how far I walked to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And
without, I mean, that part of it I get.
mm-hmm.
That part of it.
Because I'm also looking at the town,
Yeah, it's.
you're just putting two and two together of, where am I?
Yeah, where you're at.
Right.
So, I mean, arguably, but the flashlight on the side of the road, that's a really,
I don't know.
that's going to be a hard one to stomach.
I didn't see anything. I didn't see a flashlight. I didn't see a man.
But you did see your debris on the road, which was one bigger chunk, I think you described it.
Right, yep.
Was there more than that you saw on the road? It actually wasn't on the road, it was on the shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm. Not really. I mean, if it... Think about that. I remember seeing that chunk. I guess I'm not certain.
So, part of the Tim being on the other side of the road.
No, Tim's on the same side of the road with me.
I mean, so you turn, and he's going that way, but you were going to go over there next.
We went to Highmore first.
Yep.
I got gas, he parked and waited.
Okay.
We then, I went first, and
You
we
turned?
both parked on the north side of the road.
And that's where you guys were walking.
Correct. He went east, I went west.
Okay.
We never made it to the south side of the road, because I found him on the north
about
side.
going there.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
But then...
We didn't need to go to the south side, because I found him on the north side.
Yeah. So, I mean, with your car, with the damage that it has, I mean, and your car's rounded, obviously, this is square.
Right.
And so this is all the extreme, we'll call it the extreme right of your hood as you're sitting behind the steering wheel. It wouldn't be likely that it would go that way, would it? Anything that you hit on this side,
No.
it's not likely that it's going to go to the north side.
No,
It's gonna
I
stay-
just thought...
Our south side, it's going to stay on the north side.
Right, if it died, that it didn't hit and then go off and keep going. I didn't think so, but I didn't check the south side of the road.
Yeah, you didn't get to that.
I didn't
at all.
get to that.
Okay.
I thought, let's start on the north side, because maybe he's dead and he's back farther towards the bean field or whatever that is. Maybe he glanced and went that way farther back out there. But maybe he, got across.
Did you see the mirror on the door here? Did you see that was broken?
Yes.
Okay. So everything likely went this way,
Okay.
and then his face is in the windshield here.
I did not understand where he went, in relation, because I never saw him and the car together,
Let me ask you this. Did you feel bumps? I'm not talking rumble bars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking bump.
No.
Like any kind of thumping underneath your car.
No. I know it went, and I'm pumping the brakes, and that's what I'm doing. I didn't know what the shock was.
Okay.
I mean, what the impact was. I was just literally trying to stay alive myself and get to the side
Yeah.
of the road.
So, pumping changes how ABS works, because ABS is designed, you power it.
Right.
You push it down, you don't pump it. Not like the old cars that
Okay.
I would be used to
Mhm.
back in my day.
Right.
It's like if you start to skid or you're trying to stop and skidding's happening, you pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
With these, you slam on the brakes.
I remember hitting it and letting off, hitting it, letting off, hitting it. You know, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 times, but I know I did not just slam it.
And that might make sense for how far you went ahead of.
Right, because I didn't
continue on.
didn't-
You didn't dynamite the brakes to.
to stop right away, because I guess I'd always heard if you're in an accident, you slam it, you could spin yourself or go in the ditch or roll or something yourself, is what I'd always guess I knew. That's why I hit hard, but not to the floor, I would guess. And then I hit a couple times.
Okay. And I guess I'm wondering if you're feeling the bumps or even the rumble bars. Cause
I thought I hit. I mean, I heard the rumble bars. Yes, once I started applying the brakes. I don't remember any rumble bars prior to the brakes. Yeah.
So prior to stepping on the brakes, you don't remember the rumble bars at all?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not looking over at him, now that I know it's a him, or what it was. I would say I'd describe it as tunnel vision. I mean, I was now trying to get over and stop. I did not know it was a man until the next day.
So your initial statement where you said...
I hit something, because I didn't know what it was, but I'm assuming it's a deer.
So...
Assuming.
I didn't know what I hit until impact. That's a quote.
Okay.
What does that tell you? Upon impact, I knew what I hit.
Okay. Say that again, if you would.
I did not know what I hit until impact. That's your quote. To me, that means once you hit it, you did know what you hit.
I did not know until the next day. I did not. No. I'm a military guy. You do not leave people on the battlefield. Do not leave people behind. If I had any thought that he was a man, I would have tried to render aid or do whatever to get an ambulance out there or whatever. Obviously I didn't know. You told me he died on impact. It would have been too late. But I would have been telling the sheriff and everything. If I thought it was a man, obviously I would have insisted on a blood test or breathalyzer or something at that point, immediately. But I didn't have any idea that this was, anything more than an accident.
But you're pretty shook up.
Well, absolutely.
So, I mean, it just
right.
Everything caused you to be pretty shook up at that point. So that's where sometimes people make errors.
Mm-hmm.
They make mistakes.
Right.
Like I said, from early on, people make mistakes. That's why I have a job. That's why Joe has a job. We try to fix those.
Mm-hmm. I did not know it was a man until I found him the next day. No. I would not have left anybody. I had not even fathomed that a man would be there in the dark. I would say that, it's logical that a deer would be there, not a man.
Right. And
quite honestly, I was the test dummy.
Oh, God.
I was the guy walking down the side that they drove by, and I was wearing a blue shirt just like that guy, blue jeans. I volunteered
And carrying his flashlight.
and carrying the dead guy's flashlight to see what they would see. They videoed it. It's pretty apparent. It was pretty apparent that you were not looking at the road when that happened. Whether it's,
I still believe I'm looking at the radio and then looking at the speedometer to lock in the cruise is the best that I can remember.
do you just hit resume, or do you actually lock it in every single time?
I do both. You know, it depends on if it catches or not, the resume, because sometimes it won't. It won't. Like if you take it off, you hit the brake and it comes down, it sometimes won't lock it back in. You have to hit, sometimes you have to put it in to hit resume. You know, or, I mean, to
It
on.
like doesn't catch or something
Right, yeah,
like that.
right. It'll come off of, and you gotta do it over again, basically. And that's what I'm looking at. I know it, and I know how some of this looks, but I did not see a man until the next day. Absolutely. And then when you told me the glasses, you know, obviously that made me think, you know, are they his? You know, after I left here, but I didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
But I did not see that. I mean, like I said, I looked at the 65 sign, I looked at the 48 miles to Pier, and I didn't even really think I was getting going yet. I mean, and, you know, away you go, and I just got hit by a thunderbolt.
That's how that stuff happens so fast, though, Jason, and we know it. Because, I mean, quite frankly, it's not the first time that this has ever happened.
Well, yeah.
But it's like, we know that you look down, and we know you're on your phone at some point. We know you're telling us you're putting it down.
Absolutely.
Turning off the radio.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes, because I'm getting rid of distractions, not adding to them or having distractions.
On the stuff.
Well, you told me that you had a search warrant for my car.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
For example, I mean, standard.
And so, we'll show a lot of stuff. So, if you were texting, we'll show it.
I was not texting. I mean, you should be able to look at my phone and show that I wasn't texting.
If you're answering emails, we'll show it.
Right.
And so, if any of that was going on, let's take care of it now so we don't have to come back and reinvent this thing, Jason.
As the best I can remember, I put it down, hit the radio, looked at the speedometer. I don't remember sending any texts, you know, prior to the crash and the picture and,
Sure.
you know.
Sure. And
which I willingly gave and everything, I mean.
And that's my fault to say text.
Yep.
Any kind of
right.
e-transmission.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right.
And it's like, let's get it all taken care of now, because...
Do I look at that stuff? Yes. But I looked at it and I know I put my phone down, because I'm gonna think about this case, and I'm getting rid of distractions, not adding to them.
My question would be, why would you go into that Joe Biden article just to then set your phone down? I mean, if you're
that's what I do. I guess I just see the headlines and stuff. I do that all the time. You know, I look at it, maybe, you know, like a scroll, and if it's a long one, I don't, you know, ever read it. I mean, I could do that when I'm sitting here. I'm like, if they're too long, next. And you go to the next one, or go to not doing that anymore.
So that one's a fairly, I mean, as it goes.
Right. I mean, you look at it,
It's
it's not of interest.
for sure.
Right. I never read the article. I might have, you know, scanned it or looked at it, but. So where do we go from here? How long till?
Well, we're still gathering stuff. I mean, we wanted to get you up to speed. We wanted to.
This is your opportunity to straighten things out.
Right. Well, I want to help straighten stuff out. Absolutely.
But that's why we came in And, you know, we're quite honestly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've told you my concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you think they're bogus or not,
Oh, I think you're very genuine.
it's going to be a hard thing to get past. That's
Right.
what. So if there's
I never
If there-
saw there was a man.
if there was a logical reason outside of that, we just need to know. We need to know. Let's get this thing behind us.
I thought I was in the road. I never saw him. I never saw him. Until the next day, when I found him. I don't know what else I can help try and straighten out for you.
Okay. Do you want
I'm obviously not as observant as I should be.
should we take a couple-minute break? And
Yeah.
Yeah, can I get some water?
We'll get you a glass of water. We'll take a couple-minute break. Been talking a long time.
Thank you.
So Jason, you know, trying to figure out what our other options are to help you out with this too, you know. So, if you were to take a polygraph on this, how would you do?
I would pass, except for I've asked my guys how that would work, because I thought of, can I take a polygraph?
And I'm a polygraph examiner
Okay.
myself.
And
so.
well, they told me the only concern would be, now you know it, versus you didn't know it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what I believe. You know, that I did not see him or anything else, but then they said, well, now you know that it was a man, even though at the time you didn't.
Right.
And it could fluctuate. But I believe, and I will, you know, if that's what I got to do, you know, I believed with all my heart. I did not know what it was. I thought it and assumed it was a deer. And I didn't know it was him until I saw him the next day.
Mm-hmm. Who'd you talk to about it?
I think I talked to Tim, and then Tim asked the DCI folks.
Okay.
Like Tyler, our guy, is the agent here.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the one that went out and secured the scene right away and such. He's our agent here in Peter.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gives polygraphs. We can obviously give polygraphs just like you folks probably
Sure.
do when you hire new agents and such.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've never taken a polygraph or anything.
I was curious because I'm very familiar with most of your examiners.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, I
so
think
it was more curiosity.
I think
than
Tim talked to Tyler. Is
Okay.
Who talked to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I believe I thought I hit a deer. You know, I didn't know what I hit, but I thought I hit a deer because that's the only thing that made sense. Why would you think a man is walking down the side of a road in dark?
Right.
Did you talk to anybody else about any aspects of investigation?
I guess.
Like crime scene investigators?
No.
You said you mentioned it to Tim about that.
Right.
How about phone forensics, any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I asked your guy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Cassidy.
Yep.
You know how it would work, and then he was explaining because, of course, you know how it is a transmit and such, and I told him about that On My Way app on that phone because it tracks if you use it, then you don't get the points and such. But I didn't want it to be transmitting, and then that be held against me, or how it slams into the, you know, into the wheel well and such.
So you talked to Cassidy about that?
Yeah, well, I told him about that, I guess, and he said,
he
says, and it doesn't like it. We put it on airplane mode, and it doesn't like that.
I suppose for traveling, it's...
Yeah, it didn't like the, you know, it kept beeping at them.
Sure.
You know.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you talk to anybody else about?
Can't think of anybody. Go on.
Because you guys have your own unit, don't you? Like for cyber crime or phone crap like that.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
I didn't know if you guys did or if that's something that you guys have your own people.
I guess I did ask Romer a few questions, just how phones work and how they transmit and such.
And who's Gromer?
He's the head of my ICAC unit.
Oh, okay.
Out of Rapid City. He was there one day, and I just asked him, well, how do things work? How fast do they transmit? What will it get held against me? I explained this On My Way app again, you know, and such.
And he's out of Rapid City?
Yeah, he's headquartered out of Rapid City.
Okay.
So he's like your coordinator for your whole ICAC,
yeah,
DCI?
He's the boss of the ICAC division of DCI, yes.
Okay.
So if we arranged for a polygraph, you'd be willing to take one?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have, I mean, your guys, obviously, we can't do that.
Right.
And our guys have to do theirs in North Dakota, just like your guys have to do them in South Dakota, because they're licensed there.
There's licensing issues.
I guess, if you're asking, I'll let you ask first. If you're asking if I'll go to North Dakota, hell yes, I'll go. You know, I mean, if that's what it takes, or whatever. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, we were just brainstorming how we could do this, and, and it's like, well, we could have them come to Bismarck, and one of our guys there could do it.
I'm willing to do that, yes.
Okay.
Whatever I can do to cooperate.
And like I said, I mean, from the beginning, you've been cooperative.
Well, again, the hardest part of this is I wouldn't do anything different. I didn't know that this was going to happen to me, obviously. Again, why would a man be walking down the road? I believe I'm on the road, and wham, and my life changes. I called 911, I got the sheriff out there, you know, I thought I was doing the right things. Obviously, I didn't see everything that I should have seen, probably, or not, but I did not see him until the next day.
Well, quite frankly, we're going to continue on.
Okay.
We're going to keep doing our stuff. Like I said, we got...
Like,
we've been spending
Well, a lot of time.
A lot of time, and that's because we want to do a thorough job. We don't want anything.
How about, so do you have any, obviously now we gotta set this up and such to go up there and everything, but do you have any kind of time estimates before you'll do your report? And then where does your report go?
To that county.
Good. I mean, well,
That's
the
what,
first night, I was dead. The governor did a press conference and said I was involved in a one-car fatality, and my whole family thought I was dead.
sure.
And I would like, obviously, a chance to know what's happening, before it's on all the media.
And we don't control.
I understand, but I didn't know you were sending it right to the governor, first.
We didn't.
No. That you were gonna send the report when it comes, or what?
No, we're not sending it
to the county.
We're not sending it to the governor. We send it.
I'm the case, so I have
Okay.
my reports
Yes.
set up to go to the highway patrol, because they're technically the lead on this, so they
Okay.
need to come, and the Hyde County State's Attorney, that's it.
Okay. Right.
So actually, honestly, for a very high-profile case, I have a very short distribution list on this, because it's, as many other people would like to get the reports, there's
Oh, I mean,
there's no reason.
The governor says she's gonna put them out all when they come.
Yeah, sorry.
Right,
I
No, I
That's a
just,
freight train that we're not gonna
Right.
stop. I mean, I'm not gonna stop.
can you tell me, is my toxicology back, or anything? Can you tell me any of that?
I'll tell you it's zero.
Right.
Just
Which
like
should
you
be.
knew.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just like you knew that.
But it's...
And we followed up, with the folks that and I don't know if they called you or not, and I don't care if they did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I talked to the waitress, and I
Mhm.
talked to the bar owner.
Okay.
I talked to those people, and I knew what it was gonna be, but
Right.
we had
Well,
to
you still
do
gotta do
it.
your due diligence, absolutely.
And the HP that came there was because I told him.
Okay.
I
Okay.
told him, I said, just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you from Adam. I said, maybe not.
Right.
But either way, we need to do this
Right.
because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it on my bequest.
Okay.
Because at that time I already knew that I was the one coming down here. And so we're just gonna, I wanted to make sure, if you were or if you weren't,
Absolutely.
it was gonna,
Right.
granted it's a little late, but
Yeah.
it's better than nothing.
If we didn't do it,
Right.
then public perception would have been that you were completely annihilated out there driving.
Well, that's what they said anyway.
Yeah.
But I did not have any alcohol. How about, can you tell me if his toxicology's come back?
We don't have any of that yet.
They said that might be a while.
Yeah, we don't have that yet.
And that's out of our hands because that went to Ramsey County, Minnesota.
Right.
So.
And how about the accident reconstructionist expert out of Wyoming?
Well, they have the 3 guys working that are construction guys here, reconstruction guys here, and then they're working in conjunction with him. So that's still it's all new.
Mm-hmm.
This has been labor intensive,
I
quite
bet.
honestly,
Absolutely.
and we're honestly trying to get everything covered.
And we got calls of, from North Dakota taxpayers of why we were paying to do a South Dakota investigation. And, we know we've done ones for you folks. Last year there was an auditor issue we investigated.
Yeah.
And
It goes back and forth,
Right.
and the general public doesn't know it, but how else do you maintain the integrity?
Amen.
So we just do it, and generally it's not advertised as widely as this is, but I think they wanted to make sure that it wasn't, as one of the cousins said, another big cover-up.
Right. Oh,
It's like-
well, yes, I won't say anything.
Yeah, so that's that.
Any other questions?
I have nothing.
I don't have anything at this
again,
point, Jason.
I appreciate you coming in. Just thank you for all your cooperation.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
We hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is what it is, and we look at what we're doing and what we're seeing as evidence. That's the best we can do.
I did not know it was a man until the next day. I'll go to my grave saying that, and I'll happily take a polygraph. So.
Okay. Alrighty. Well,
All right.
we'll work on that angle, and we have the prosecutor in the loop too.
Okay.
So we'll just keep going forward and see what we find out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Walk you out.